The Miami Heat dropped game one to the Boston Celtics here tonight, and boy, did we learn a lot, not only about this Miami Heat team and how they were going to look going forward, but also how this matchup is going to play out for this Miami Heat team. We'll break all of that down on this episode of Heat Digest, where we create daily Miami Heat content. So if that interests you, subscribe to the channel, as 85.5% of you guys currently watching this video are not currently subscribed. We're on the road to 1,300 subscribers. We're actually just less than 10 subscribers away from that goal. So if you're a part of that 85%, scroll down, hit that button, help us get to that milestone. We do appreciate all the love and support, so thank you guys once again. But now let's break down the battle that it was of game one between these two teams. Now, the Miami Heat did not start great. Again, yes, we had another very, very slow start. So slow that the game was 14-0 to start the game. Not a great look for this Miami Heat team. Yes, it was in Boston. This was game one. It was a true telling point for how this Miami Heat team may look going forward, as we know Jimmy Butler isn't going to play, and Terry Rozier was ruled out of this game. And again, we won't know if he's playing for Tuesday night's game until probably tomorrow around noon or so Eastern Standard Time. So again, updates to come on Terry Rozier, but for this game, obviously he was out with the neck injury, as well as obviously Jimmy Butler. For the box score, we got a bunch of good minutes from a lot of like the same players that we normally see in a daily basis, game in and game out. I will say Jovic did get another start. Jaime Jaquez Jr. also got another start, and Caleb Martin got another start. So, interesting lineup to say the least to combat some of the size in Boston. I do have their box score up just so we can have the name so you can picture it rather than just trying to remember the game. We have Tatum, Porzingis, Drew Holiday, Derek White, and Jaylen Brown. A very, very big starting five to say the least. And the Miami Heat, once again, obviously Bam Adebayo playing the center position. We talked about this all year long. He's not a true center. He's a true power forward. So Jovic asked to do a lot here, as well as the rest of the Miami Heat team. We came out in a zone early in this game, and the Boston Celtics simply just passed in to Porzingis standing at the free throw line, and then he was able to either look opposite to where the help defenders were coming from, again, playing that zone that was more like a 2-3 hybrid-esque type of zone. And again, the Boston Celtics just manipulated it all day, and when they didn't even try to manipulate it, they just settled for three-point shots, and they shot so many three-point shots tonight. They shot 49 in total, not to mention out of the gate in that first quarter, they had 18 attempted three-point shots in 12 minutes of basketball, in the opening 12 minutes of basketball in game one of a series that was expected to be somewhat competitive again between these two teams, as they meet year after year, it feels like, as these two teams either meet in the first, second, or even in the Eastern Conference Finals. And now this year, obviously game one in Boston. Boston's been a runaway team all year long, not only for the Eastern Conference, but the entire league. And they came out, and it's not even the fact that they were shooting 10 of 18 or some ridiculous number to start the first quarter. It was just the amount of volume coming from behind the three-point line for this Boston team. It felt like every single shot they took was from behind the three-point line, and it continued throughout the entirety of this game. From the start until the finish, they were living behind that three-point line. Ended up shooting 22 of 49 from behind the three-point line, which is almost 45%. Basically, 45%, 44.9% to be exact. A hell of a three-point percentage when you shoot 50 shots from behind the three-point line. Absolutely ridiculousness. I cannot believe it, and I want to point out the fact that they had 39 shots made, total field goals, out of 82. We had 38 total field goals made out of 81, and we lost by 20. It was the difference was the three-point shots. It was the amount from the Boston Celtics from behind the three-point line. They had 10 more threes made. They had, again, 22 of 49, as the Miami Heat shot 12 of 37, and 5 of them came from DeLon Wright alone in the fourth quarter. Yes, we were flat. It's not even that we were shooting them at the rate of the Boston Celtics and missing. We were just shooting them at what would be considered a casual rate. We weren't just throwing them up left and right. I feel like it got to that point in the second half due to the fact that the Boston Celtics got out to an early lead, and things just did not really look good for the Miami Heat due to the fact that our half-court offense really was inferior all night long, to say the least. And then when the Boston Celtics were able to come down the floor after stopping a Miami Heat team that was fumbling with the ball, turning it over, and just not being able to get a good shot off, getting late in the shot clock, seeing shot clock violations. And it just, we were clumsy in a way. It didn't work. It felt like when we came out, we got punched in the mouth, and we had no idea really how to answer it until the fourth quarter, as we put up 35 points in the fourth quarter. But again, here's the line scores for the quarters and for the entire game. 21-point first quarter for the Miami Heat, as we gave up 26. So we were only down 5. And then things really got out of hand. As in the second quarter, we put up 24 points to Boston's 34. And then coming out of halftime, we had a 14-point third quarter. I feel like a lot of these post games we end up reviewing these line scores because it seems like one of the teams had a horrible quarter at some point during this game. And tonight, it was the Miami Heat once again in this opening the second half, which I feel like it just happens way too often for this team. And once again, they came out in the second half and laid an egg. It's not like the game was all that close coming out in the second quarter, but again, it was reasonable. It was a few stops away from really being competitive. And then we put up 14 points alone in the third quarter to Boston's 31. And when they scored those 31, it was like in waves. And these waves aren't just knee-high. These are like tidal waves taking everything out. It was consecutive three-point shots. It was runouts, fouls, and ones, going to the free throw line. Momentum on their side. Their building was rocking. It felt like a playoff atmosphere. It felt like Boston and their entire fans were just so happy to see a shorthanded Miami Heat team, mind you, come into Boston playing as not the better team when it comes to on the paper, obviously, like paper to paper, lining up the rosters, due to the fact that we are dealing with some injuries. And they have been the best team all year long. They felt like they were the big brother, and they were already a few stairs up on us, and then they were able to push us down tonight. And that's really what we saw. For the rest of the team stats, I will say the assist numbers throughout this game, they were sitting at right around, just if not just under, doubling our assist numbers throughout the entirety of this game. They ended up being 27 for Boston to 23 for the Miami Heat. I will say it was a drastic change, as it didn't seem like the Miami Heat could really even, let alone get a shot, but actually execute some half-court offense in order to get an assisted basket. And it felt like every time the Boston Celtics were scoring, it was off of good ball movement, no one-on-one basketball, and it resulted in good basketball, good offense, and an efficient offense at that. For the game, the Miami Heat shot 6 free throws. Not having Jimmy Butler is going to be felt, and it's going to be felt heavily, and especially in the box scores and on the stat sheets, as when we look at these things and we don't see anywhere near the amount of free throws we normally do from Jimmy Butler alone. And this is what we're going to get. Not a great sighting from the Miami Heat, as they couldn't stop the Boston Celtics by getting to the free throw line, stopping the pace of play, letting things reset, taking a natural timeout or a forced timeout rather than a natural timeout where a coach calls one, obviously, and lets everyone really do what they need to do, take a breath, let the momentum in the building sit for a second. None of that happened, as, again, the Miami Heat did not get to the free throw line all but a few times here tonight. For the rest of the box score, I will point out, Bam Adebayo had a solid game, 24 points, 6 boards, 3 assists, shot 10 of 18, 0 of 2 from behind the three-point line. He shot 4 of our 6 free throws, making all 4 of his attempts, which is always good to see, as he did have a dip in his free throw numbers about midway through the season. For Tyler Hero, he started shooting in this game, and it was not good from the start, and it didn't finish all that well. He did make 2 big threes in the fourth quarter. It felt like things were really going to start going the other way, but again, that was not the case. 4 of 13 from the field overall, 3 of 9 from behind the three-point line, 11 points, 4 boards, 4 assists, a single steal. Overall, not a bad game, but again, not the shooting percentages, as he started, again, 1 of 8 from the field to start this game. Not going to get things done for this Miami Heat team, especially as him being I know Bam is very good, and I expect him to come out and score a lot, or at least be aggressive, especially in this scenario. But really, it's Tyler Hero who is that first option and has to be the dominant leader when scoring the basketball on this Miami Heat team without Butler or Rozier. Jaquez got another start, and he played well, 8 of 16 from the field, 50% from the field as well. 0 of 2 from the three-point line, did not attempt a free throw, despite being very aggressive at going towards the basket. 16, 4, and 4 with a single steal for Jaime Jaquez Jr. And really, we had Kevin Love come off the bench. Haywood Highsmith went 0 of 4, all four of them being from the 3-point line. He did not make a shot. Duncan Robinson in 15 minutes went 2 of 4, including 1 of 3 from behind the 3-point line and added 5 points. We're going to need to see a lot more from these reserves. Something like what DeLon Wright did tonight. As he played 26 minutes, he provided 17 points, 3 assists, and a rebound, shooting 6 of 7 from the field and 5 of 5 from behind the 3-point line. He was fantastic. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. He was fantastic in the fourth quarter for this Miami Heat team, making all 5 of his 3-point shots in the fourth quarter. Really went on a run by himself in that fourth quarter and made the Boston Celtics get uncomfortable during that game. Cut a 29-point lead down to, I believe, 15 at one point. And it made things interesting. It leave it to someone like DeLon Wright to really be the guy to step up and do something like that. And obviously it's great to see. He probably earned himself a bunch of minutes going into game 2, which is going to be on Tuesday night in Boston. Obviously, again, it's going to be a weird one, to say the least. Actually, this game is on the 24th. This game's on Wednesday night. Because today's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That game will be on Wednesday night in Boston. That I can't wait for this game. I feel like as a Miami Heat supporter, I know it's crazy to say this, but I think we learned a lot. I think we learned a lot in this game. I think it was someone of a coach of Eric Spoelstra's pedigree. I think we're going to be okay going into these following games. I know we're going to be shorthanded, especially on the offensive end. But again, I feel like we have a chance. I have to highlight Kristaps Porzingis tonight because he's going to be the biggest reason that the Miami Heat lose any more games in this series. As this guy's he's a fucking cheat code. Like, excuse my language, he's a cheat code. He's 7'2" or 7'3", whatever you want to list him at. And he can shoot threes off a dribble. He can shoot threes off the catch. He stretches an offense or stretches a defense more than anyone I've ever seen ever. It is fantastic to watch in the sense of beautiful basketball. It is debilitating to watch when he plays against the Miami Heat or any team that you're obviously rooting for. He caught a ball tonight, and it was late shot clock. It was like about 4 seconds left. He was on the left wing. And rather than shooting the shot, he pump faked on, I believe it was Jaime Jaquez Jr., a good defender. He normally overruns on a closeout by far and away. Jaquez had a great closeout. Kristaps Porzingis pump faked, jabbed right, put the ball on the ground, and took a step back jump shot basically as the shot clock expired and made it. The first shot he could have shot because he's 7'3", and regardless of Jaquez closing out on him, he probably is going to get off a great shot. He put the ball on the floor and made a even more difficult shot more difficult. And he made it anyway. Absolutely backbreaking. I felt like at that point it was just a nail in the coffin because we did a decent job tonight. They really did a great job though destroying our zone, which is usually a great thing for this Miami Heat team, but they did a great job doing what they did at expanding the zone. Really, everyone standing behind that 3-point line and constantly being a threat. Constant dribble penetration and then kicking with overhelp really killed us as well. And again, Kristaps Porzingis just added that next level. He is going to be a problem. He's going to be step one on who we have to stop and minimize. Regardless, I know Jason Tatum's on that team. I know Jaylen Brown's on that team. I know they have weapons at like an all-star level. We have to stop Kristaps Porzingis, or this might be a rout, and I don't want to watch that, and I'm not rooting for it. But again, we just have to call it the way we see it. I do trust Eric Spoelstra and this Miami Heat team to really adjust and go into the next game well prepared after what we watched in Game 1. But again, that'll be it for this episode of Heat Digest. I do appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you guys on the next one Wednesday night.